You can see the colors right now are spilling on my subject as well. So if I increase my opacity, you can see the colors on my subject. Just look at the hair right here. You can see the colors on my subject's hair and it's looking all realistic. But I feel it's too much, so I'm just going to reduce the opacity because I don't want it to be too obvious. Hi everyone, Tunde here and welcome back to another amazing video. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you guys how I retouch this image from like this to like this. And also I'll show you guys how I changed the background and how I added those gel lights and the overlays to this image, and also how I use LiQWYDSkin for some parts of this image. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to crop my image. And if you are going to upload for Instagram, make sure your crop ratio is set to 4:5. But if you are uploading for Facebook, you can just leave it like that. But if you want your image to fit on Instagram, make sure your crop ratio is set to 4:5. And to set your ratio to 4:5, just right click on this crop icon right here and you're going to see your ratios. So just click on 4:5 and just crop your image. And I'm using Capture One to process this raw file. If you don't have this Capture One software, I'll be leaving the link in the description below, so go check that link so you can download the Capture One software. So after cropping my image, I'll just click on enter and I'll come to my exposure tab right here, which is my exposure tab, and I'll just scroll down to my dynamic range. So once on my high dynamic range, I'll just reduce the highlights a little bit like this. I'll open up my shadows like this because I feel some part of the hair are dark, so I'm just going to open them. And also I'll open up my whites to compensate for this highlight which I drop, and I'll just bring down my shadows to compensate for these shadows which I open. So what I'm basically doing, I'm just adding contrast to the image. And for here, I'll push my white sliders to this side like this, and I'll push my black inside again like this to add more depth to this image. And that's all I'm going to be doing for this particular image in Capture One. So next thing I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to open this image in Photoshop. And to open your image in Photoshop, just right click on your image like this and click on edit with Adobe Photoshop. So I'm using Adobe Photoshop 2019, so I'm just going to click on it and it's going to bring out this menu right here. So just make sure yours is similar to this. Make sure your format is on TIFF, and you can use 8-bit or 16-bit, but for the sake of this tutorial I'm going to be using 16-bit because I'm just editing only this image. If I'm editing multiple image, I'm using 8-bit, but since I'm just editing this particular image, I'm going to be using 16-bit because my system is not too fast, and 16-bit retain more colors. So I'm just going to click on edit variant, and this image is going to export to Photoshop. So right now we're on Photoshop. The first thing I'm going to do, I'll first of all duplicate my layer by clicking on Ctrl J, or I'll just come down here, right click and drag this my background layer to this new layer icon right here, and it's going to duplicate my layer for me. So once I duplicate my layer, I'm just going to do a little bit of LiQWYDSkin for this image right here. I want to enhance this image a little bit, so I just come to my filter and come to LiQWYDSkin. So once my LiQWYDSkin window is open, I'm just going to use this forward warp tool, which is this first one right here, and make sure your pressure is set to 5. So just reduce your pressure to 5, because if your pressure is 100, everything you do will be too intense, like you don't have control over it. So you can see what's happening. Everything I'm doing is too intense, so just reduce your pressure to 5. I think 5 is okay, or you can even go lower, but I think 5 is okay for me. So just reduce it to 5 like this. After that, I'll just use my LiQWYDSkin tool to enhance the part of the image which I want to enhance. So I'm just going to bring this part out a little bit to add shape to the image and to make it look pleasing or appealing. And don't overdo it. If you overdo it, it will look fake and it will not look real and it will be obvious. So just do it, just add a little to it like that. And I'm just going to push it out a little bit as well like this, and I'm going to push it in. And I'm going to push the stomach in a bit to make it look flat like that. And you can click on this preview icon to see your before and after. So these are before and these are after. I feel it's okay. I'm just going to touch here a little bit more like this. Okay, I feel it's okay like this. So once I'm done, I'll just click on OK. So you can see our before and the after, our before and after, but I feel it's not straight, so I'll just come back to my filter again. I'll come to my LiQWYDSkin and I'll just make it look more realistic and more straight. just click on OK. So I like it like this. It's looking good like this and looking more realistic like this. So next I'm going to do, I'm just going to remove the blemishes on the face, and to do that I'll just create a new empty layer. So I'll come down here, create a new empty layer, and I'll just rename this one blemishes. And after that I'll pick my close stamp tool or my healing brush tool, and just make sure current and below is checked, and make sure your hard brush, and make sure your mood is on normal, and your source is on sampled, and your diffusion is on 7, and just zoom in and reduce your brush size. Reduce your brush size by clicking on the square bracket key. Just press alternate on your keyboard to sample, and just paint over the blemishes like that to get rid of the blemishes. So I have a video on how you can remove blemishes. I'll be leaving the link to that video in the description below. So if you want to learn how to remove blemishes on the model skin, just go and watch that video. And basically I'm just clicking alternate to sample from a close by area and painting it over the blemishes to remove the blemishes. So I'll be doing this for the whole of this image. So I'm done removing the blemishes, and I switch between my healing brush tool and my close stamp tool to get rid of the blemishes. And if you're using your close stamp tool, make sure your brush is on soft round brush, make sure your mood is on normal, make sure your opacity is on 100, make sure your flow is on 100, make sure your align is checked, and make sure your current and below is checked. That's if you're using the close stamp tool. So after I remove the blemishes, I'm just going to do a bit of dodge and burn for this image, because I feel some parts are dark and some parts are bright. I'm just going to make the skin look even. And to do that, I'll just come to my Retouching Academy. If you don't have this Retouching Academy, just send me an email. I'll leave my email in the description below, and I'll show you the link where you can download this Retouching Academy. So I'll just click on dodge and burn curves. So this one right here is my visual aid. I'll just come to my dodge and burn. So this is my dodge and this is my burn. What I want to do right now, I want to make the transition of the shadows and the highlights on the skin looks even. So once on my dodge, I'll pick my normal brush tool. I'll just reduce my flow to about 5. Make sure your foreground color is set to white. So just press X on your keyboard to switch between white and black. And if it's yours is on other color, just click on this black and white icon right here to put it to default black and white. So just paint on the dark part of the image to make the transition look even. Use your dodge paint on the dark side and use your burn to paint on the bright part of the image to even out the transition between the highlights and the shadows. I'm just going to be doing this for the whole of this image, and this step right here is going to take you a lot of time. So if you are doing it, just take your time to do it, and it's going to take you about 20 to 30 minutes or even an hour. So just take your time to make sure your transition look even. But if you are retouching multiple images, you don't have to do this step. You just have to skip it and just go straight to the separation. But since I'm touching just this image, I'm just going to do this step for this image. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this on. Now let's see our before and after. This is our before. You can see the way the image was looking, and this is after. You can see that transition on the skin are looking a little bit better. So you can see our before and after. So just take your time to do this step. So next I'm going to do right, I'm just going to run my frequency separation. So I'll come to my Retouching Academy, click on via Gaussian blur, and I'm just going to be using 5 for this image. If this image was a full body shot, I'll be using a radius of about 3 or 4, and if this image was an headshot, I'll be using about 10 or 8 or 9 to retouch this image, because the lower the radius, the more smoother your image is, and the higher the radius, the more texture you retain on your image. So if you want to retain more texture on your image, make sure to use a higher blur radius to retain more texture on your image. So I'm just going to click on OK right now. And if you come to my layer tab right here, you can see I have the high frequency texture copy, and I have the high frequency, I have the corrective tones, and I have the low frequency and colors. So if you want to work on the blemishes on your skin, make sure your high frequency texture copy is selected. So once it's selected, just pick your close stamp tool or your spot healing brush tool or your healing brush tool, anyone you want to use, and change your sample to current layer. You know we changed it to current and below before, but right now just change it to current layer, and just click on alternate to sample and just paint over the blemishes you want to remove. So let's say you made some blemishes in the first step and you want to remove them right now. all you have to do is make sure your high frequency texture copy is selected and just work on the blemishes. So right now, if I want to work on the colors, I'll just come to my corrective tool right here, make sure my high texture layer is turned off and the image is going to be looking blurry like this, and I just pick my mixer brush tool and make sure you're on your clean brush, make sure this place is checked, make sure you're on custom, make sure your wet is on 40, your load is on 30, your mix is on 20, your flow is on 30, and this place is on 10. Or you can use any mixer brush settings that work for you. But if you want to use my mixer brush settings, these are my mixer brush settings up here. So I'm just going to brush according to the shape of the model skin, and I'll be brushing my highlight separately and brushing my shadow separately. So if you want to learn how to use a mixer brush, I have a video for that. So just check the description on this video, or just go to my page. I have a lot of video about retouching, so just choose any one which you want to watch and just watch the video. And I'll brush my highlight separately and I'll brush my shadows separately as well, so I can get a good result. So I'll just be doing this for the whole of this image. Okay, now let's see our before and after. Let me just zoom in. These are before and these are after. These are before and these are after. So right now I'm just going to be using a plugin to apply a little bit of smoothness to this image. So if you don't have this Portrait plugin, you can skip this step, it's optional, but since I have it, I'm going to be using it. So to do that, I'll just come to my corrective tool, click on Control on my keyboard and select my corrective tool and my low frequency colors and tunes, and click on Control E to mesh them. So once I mesh them, I'll come to my filter, I'll come to my Imagonic, and I'll just apply my portraiture. So if you have this portraiture, send me an email. I'll send the link to you where you can download this portraiture login. Just pick on my plus speaker tool right here and select the skin and click on OK. So if you have skin finder, you can also use skin finder, because this portraiture and skin finder, they are almost the same thing. They do the same work. They just make the image a little bit smoother. Let's see our before and after. These before applying portraiture, and this is after applying portraiture. You can see this subtle difference. This is the before and this is the after. So it's optional. You can decide to use it or you can decide not to use it. So next I'm going to do right now, looking at the skin, you can see the colors on the face is different for the colors on the hand. So I'm just going to make the skin to look even. And to do that, there are multiple ways to do that. I have a video for that. Just go to my file. You're going to see a lot of video out there which is really helpful. Just watch them and learn from them. So to make the colors of the face and the hand look even, all I have to do is create a new layer and then pick my normal brush tool. Make sure my foreground color is all white. Then sample from any area on the skin which I want the hands to be like. So I'll just sample from here like this. Hold alternate to sample. So once I sample, I'll just brush on the parts which I want to fill with the skin like this. So make sure you are careful when doing this, so you won't paint on the dress. So I'm just going to do this on the hand like this. And I know it's not looking good right now, but don't worry, we are going to make it look good very soon. And if you feel you brush on the dress like this, all you have to do is pick your eraser tool and just erase it from the dress like this. And to pick your eraser tool, just click on E on your keyboard, or come here and pick your eraser tool right here. So after this, next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to come to my filter, I'll come to my blur, I'll click on Gaussian blur. I'm just going to blur this with a radius of about 6. Click on OK. And then next thing I'm going to do, I'll just reduce the opacity. I'll just reduce the opacity a little bit like this. And I'll change the blend mode to soft light. And I can set to increase the opacity as well. Now let's see the before and after. This is how the skin was looking before. This is the after. So you can see they are looking more even. So next thing I'm going to do right now, I'm going to whiten the eyes and teeth. I also have a video on how you can whiten the eyes and teeth. Just go to my profile and watch the videos right there, and you're going to learn a lot. So I already have an action. So just come to my actions right here, click on eyes and teeth, and pick my normal brush tool. Make sure my foreground color is on white, and just paint over the eyes like this. And after that, I'll come to my filter, I'll come to my blur, and I'll come to Gaussian blur. Now I'm just going to blur it to a radius of about 2 and click on OK. So after that, next thing I'm going to do, I just reduce the opacity to about 80 to make it look all natural. And after that, next thing I'm going to do, I just want to make the catch light on my eyes a little bit brighter. So I come to my adjustment layer, come to my brightness, and just add a little bit of brightness like this. Then click on Ctrl I to hide the effects, and I want to reveal the effects only on this white catch light on the eyes. So I pick my normal brush tool. Since my mask is on black, make sure my foreground color is on white, and I'll just paint over those catch lights on the eyes like this. So these are before and these are after, these are before and these are after, just a subtle difference. So next thing I'm going to be doing for this image, I'm going to be color grading this image right now. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add contrast to this image. So I just come to my black and white adjustment layer, double click on this empty space right here to open the layer style option. So once my layer style is open, I'll just change the blend mode to soft light and come to this my underline layer, hold alternate to split this icon right here, and then just drag one part of it to the highlight side and click on OK. Now these are before and these are after. I've added contrast to this image. So next thing I'm going to do, I'll just come to my adjustment layer again, come to my color balance. I'll just come to my highlight. For my highlights, I'll just move my sliders to negative cyan. So I'll just move it to -7. So I'll come to my midtones and I'll just add yellows to my midtones like this. I think -4 is okay, or 5. And for my cyans, I just put -1 for my cyan, just a little change. And for the shadows, I think I'm just going to leave the shadows like that. Next thing I'm going to do, I'll come to my adjustment layer again, come to my selective color, and for my reds, I'll just minus cyans a little, I think to about -3 is okay. And also my yellows, and for my yellows, I'll just add a little bit of yellows to +3. And also for the blacks, I'll just minus blacks from the image, they're about -14. And I'll come to my yellows. For my yellows, I'll just remove a little bit of yellows from the yellows, I think -3 is okay. And for the blacks, I'll just remove a little bit of blacks from the yellows, I think -4 is okay. And I think I'm okay like this. So let me just group them so you can see our before and after. And before I group them, I'll come back to my adjustment layer again, and I'll come to my vibrance, add a little bit of vibrance to this image. So I just move my vibrance up a bit, so about, I think 18 is okay, to add a little bit of vibrance to the image. And I'll just group everything I just did in a group like this, and just reduce the opacity a little bit like this. So I think I like it like this. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to change the background of this image. And before I do that, I'm just going to create a stamp visible layer. To do that, I'll just click on Ctrl Shift Alternate E. So once I create a stamp visible layer, I'll just select my subject out of the background. So I just want to remove the background of this image right now. So I'll come to my quick selection tool right here and click on Select Subject. And Photoshop will automatically select my subjects for me. But as you can see, Photoshop didn't do a very nice job. So I'm just going to manually select this part right here myself. Push this part outside a bit like this. And I've selected that part, and I want to add this part a little bit, so I just move this part inside like this again. So I've selected that part, so I want to add here again this place right here. So I'll just use my brush size and push it out like this. So once I get my selection right, and I have a video on how you can make a perfect selection, so just go to my page and watch my videos. So I just click on layer mask right here, and I've automatically removed my subject from the background. So if I turn off all my background layer, you can see it will be remaining just my subject. So let me just turn off all my background layer, and you can see I have just my subject right here. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put my background to Photoshop right now. So you can just go to your computer where your background is saved and just drag it and drop it on top of this image, or you can come to File, come to Place Embedded, and just look for where your file is. So I just look for the background which I want to use. This is the background I'm going to use, and I just click on Place. So once I place it, I'm going to resize it. So I just resize this background the way I want. And make sure you resize it so that it can be looking realistic. So I just click on OK. I think I like it like this. But right now I feel my subject is looking large on the background. So I just come to my subject layer and I just resize my subject to make my subject look a little bit smaller like this, so that it can fit with the perspective of this background. So I think I like it like this. I just click on OK. So you can see this background fits perfectly for this image and my subject is looking all good and all natural. But if yours is not looking like this, you can always refine your edge. And to refine your edge, all you have to do is make sure your layer mask is selected and just look at your image and see if there's any part you want to add or want to remove. Let's say I want to remove these eyelashes right here. All I have to do is click on my normal brush tool, make sure my foreground color is on black, and just paint on these eyelashes to remove them like this. And if I want to bring those parts back, all I have to do is switch my foreground color to white brush and just paint on those areas to reveal those properties back like that. So just use your normal brush tool to refine your edge and make it look even. And since the hair right here are not looking so good, I can just double click on this my layer mask right here and just click on my refine edge tool and just refine this hair like this to make it look more realistic. You can see it's looking more realistic right now. And also you can do the same thing for the hair if your subject has hair. So just click on the edge of your hair like this, just click on the hair of your hair like this, and it's going to make the hair look more real and more realistic. So you can see, so just click on OK once you are done. So I like my background like this, I like my subject like this. So next time I'm going to add those gel lights to this background, and to do that I'll just turn off my background layer first, and to do that I'll just create an empty layer. I also have a video on how you can add gel lights to your image. So I'll first of all create an empty layer, then pick my gradient tool, click on this my gradient properties, make sure my gradient name is of foreground to transparent, and just click on this icon right here to change the colors. Click on color and just pick any color you want. So I want my color to be this color right here, so I just click on it and select it and click on OK. And once my empty layer is selected, I'll just click and drag my gradients to this side to add that effect to the image like this. And also I want to do the same thing for this other side. I'll create another empty layer. This time I'll change this color right here to, I think, cyan, or I think I like this color. I'll just use this color and I'll just click on OK, and I'll just drag it from this side like this. And next I'm going to do, I'll just change the blend mode to color, and I'll come down here as well. I'll change the blend mode to color, and I feel it's too much right now, so I'll just reduce. First of all, I'll just group the both of them. Ctrl G to group, and just reduce the opacity. I don't want it to be obvious. I don't want it to be too much, so I'll leave it like this, and then I'll turn on my subject layer again. But you can see it's spilling on the background and it's not making the image look realistic because it's supposed to be spilling on the subject as well. So I'll just duplicate this my color gel. I can rename it color gel or gel, and once I rename it, I'll just drag it above my subject. You can see the colors right now are spilling on my subject as well. So if I increase my opacity, you can see the colors on my subject. Just look at the hair right here. You can see the colors on my subject's hair and it's looking all realistic. But I feel it's too much, so I'm just going to reduce the opacity because I don't want it to be too obvious. So I think I like it like this. So next thing I'm going to do, I'll come back to my background layer again, and I'm just going to blur my background layer, make it look more realistic. And to blur my background, I'll come to my filter, make sure my background is selected, which is my overlay which I added. I'll come to my filter, and I'll come to my blur gallery. I'll use my tilt shift because I want the blur to look as if it's coming from the down all the way up. So I use my tilt shift. So I just click and drag this point all the way down like this to start from here like this. So the blur is going to come from down all the way up, and I'll just increase the blur radius. Come here and just increase the radius of the blur. I think 24 is okay. And then I'll add greens to this image. So just come to my greens and add a little bit of greens to the image. and this green is only affecting the overlay. So I think 11 is okay, and once I'm done, I'll just click on OK. Alright, now let's see this before and after. This is the before our blur. You can see how sharp the background is, and this is after our blur. You can see how realistic it is. Now the next thing I'm going to do right now, I'm going to add one more overlay, those bubble overlay. So I'll come back to my file, I'll come back to my place embedded, and I just look for those bubble overlay. I think it's this one right here, so I just click on it, and this time I'm going to place it above my subject like this. Since the background is black, I'll just come to my blending option, my blending mode, and just change it to screen, or I'll change it to lighting, whichever one works, but I feel screen works better, so I'll just change it to screen. And you can see, so next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to resize it and place it where I want. So I want to place it right here like this, and I'm just going to rotate it. So I'll rotate it, I think 90 degrees clockwise. So I think I like it like this. So next thing I'm going to do right now, I'll just pick my eraser tool and just erase it from some parts which I don't want. So I don't want it to be here, so I'll just erase it from that place like that. So right now I'll just reduce the opacity a little bit like this. So these are before and this is after. So next thing I'm going to do for this image, I'm just going to add noise to the whole of the image. I'll come to my actions and I'll click on noise. And once I add noise, I'll just reduce the opacity of the noise because I don't want it to be too much, like this. So next step I'm going to take right now, I'm just going to save this image. So to save my image, I'll first of all resize my image by clicking on Ctrl Alternate I to resize my image. So I'll just resize my width to 9 and my height automatically change. And once I'm done, I'll click on OK, and this image is going to resize. So after resizing my image, let's see our overall before and after where we started from where we are right now. So this is where we started from, and this is where we are right now. So to save my image, I just come to my file, I'll come to my export, and I click on save for web, or you can click on Ctrl Shift Alternate S, and it's going to bring you to this window as well. So just make sure your quality is on 75 or 80. Make sure your optimize is checked. Make sure your embed color profile is checked, and just click on save, and you're going to have a sharp image when you upload it on Instagram and on Facebook. So this is how I save my image. So if you want to learn how to perfectly remove your background from your image, or how to select subjects out of the background, just click and watch this video showing on your screen right now. If you learned anything from this video, make sure to hit on that like button so that more people can see this video. I'll see you guys in my next video. Stay creative.